What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. It was formally announced today. Actually, IGN leaked it last night, and I think they were kind of the pioneers of holding almost the marketing rights or the release rights, to the trailer. They accidentally did it last night, took it down, I believe, pretty quickly, and then it came out for good today. We got like a press kind of tour. There's articles on Game Informer. And they're all relatively the same. It's a preview. So we got a pretty meaty, I would say, trailer that we'll talk about. And then the press, from what I at least gather, got roughly 13, to be specific, I think it was around 13 minutes of just kind of discussion with the team and a little bit more, info of what they're trying to do with this and just how good it sounds. And, that's a big part of what I want to talk about in this video. The game looks great and the game sounds great. Now, I got to go on record and I got to, stick to my guns, as I said, leading into this, because we kind of saw this coming at least 1 week ago, right? If not longer. The first game is a game that I just did not connect to at all. Now, for my research of the first game, and actually I did do research on the first game, it really feels like those that it clicked with and those that got invested and those that kind of embraced, I think, the type of game that it was making. It was unapologetic of what it was trying to do, right? Like, it was rough. It focused on a lot of key elements in more like hardcore, maybe RPGs that some others don't. Maybe some more casuals, filthy casuals like myself. So, while I didn't connect to it all that well, number one, I do want to go back and I want to give another try, especially as we get closer to this game. But number two, I can respect what they did, regardless of what I think. I can respect what they did with the first game. I see many, many people, not just the ones that create, like, say, videos or whatever online, but it seems like there is a pretty big army of people that really, truly appreciate what they did in the first game. And I think that's awesome. It's a different type of game, and I think the industry could actually use more of different types of games. So, okay, well, what do we get with the second game? Honestly, it sounds like a little bit more, a little bit. Actually, it's probably a lot of bit, right? Because they talk about in these previews, and you can kind of see it come to life in the trailers. I think there's a pretty big emphasis on fighting and war, in the trailer, quite a bit. But what you see from all these previews going around is it's bigger and better. It's really, this game is supposed to be what the first game, what they were trying to do, and they just didn't have the money, they didn't have the people or whatever, right? They talk about when they first started this team, it was like 11 people, and now it's over 250. Like, in a decade, the studio increased, quite a bit, and this is the type of game, or the size of game, I should say, that they wanted and they want to make. And the foundation and the foundational elements were there in the first game, but now is where they can go, full throttle. So what does that mean? Well, that means new weapons, right? More long-range stuff that the first game didn't have. Seems like, again, a more of an emphasis on battles. They talk about how big the world is. Now, this one scares me a little bit. It's not to, like, massively, I guess, not trust them, but there was one quote where they talked about how it was one individual that said, like, they almost think that the world is too big. And look, like, it's probably supposed to be played off as a joke. Maybe if there was, like, an interview, the person would be smiling or laughing. But, we have talked about it before, like, on my channels. If you make a world bigger, it doesn't make it better. You have to fill it. And, you could have an open world game of 50 hours and 30 hours can be fluff, right? Where it's just padded and it's not actually meaningful, or, like, it doesn't feel impactful is probably a better word. So, again, is this played off more as a joke? Like, are they kind of kidding? Probably. But I do hope that, yeah, expanding the range and expanding, sounds like kind of a diversity of areas, right? Like, you got some grasslands or, like, foresty type thing, lots of different type places. That's great. But, there's got to be impact in going to these places. If you just made it bigger for the sake of making it bigger, you're not doing much. But they did throw in, like, in terms of a reputation system, and characters are going to react to you a little bit more, like, pointedly versus, like, in the past. Like, if you do certain things, they're going to treat you a certain way, and you can turn around and treat them the same way back. It sounds in that way very much like the first game, very specific or almost, like, detail-oriented. And I think that's a good way of kind of describing the first game. It's like, it's an RPG that takes things seriously, right? And, like, things that you do and weights and just, the way you, like, make yourself and the way that you strike a sword and then, like, the battle mechanics. It's a game that's very specific, and you have to kind of play by those rules. So it sounds like they're just expanding that and pushing it out into the world, right, with this kind of reputation system. But again, what they said, except for, I would say, in terms of, like, the world or certain parts of the world maybe being too big, It sounds really good, and it really does sound like, as we've been saying, sounds like this is the game that they wanted to make, and I believe them because I think, well, like I said in the beginning of the video, like the first game has a foundation. It has a core thing that if you're into it, you're super into it, and so they have that. And all you really need to do is kind of expand from there, and that very much seems like what this game is doing. So 2024, this year, they didn't give a date, but, they give the year. Now, you would imagine it'd be a quick turnaround. Like maybe you see it in a few months from now. Maybe it makes an appearance at the PlayStation events or Xbox or Summer Game Fest. And this thing's got to be a fall game, right? Like, it's not going to come out within the next couple months, but probably comes out September, October, November. So I don't think we have to wait long. And what does that mean? Well, it means I have to spin around or turn around really quickly. And sometime this summer or early fall or whatever, I got to give the first game another go. There's plenty of really good, like I've watched these. There's plenty of really good video essays. Kingdom Come Deliverance is a very good game that lends itself to do video essays on it. It's really good at that, and there's plenty of those on YouTube that I think do a really good job of analyzing the elements of what makes it stand out or what makes it good. So, even if I don't click with it, maybe I'll just watch some of those, cross my fingers and pray that maybe this next game, does it seem like it's going to be overly welcoming to newcomers? I don't really get the vibe that it's changing its style to get new people to come in, right? Like, it's expanding, it's doing, say, new things with combat or, the range stuff, but I don't know if that'll make it easier. I don't know if that'll make it more accessible. And by the way, I'm not saying it needs to be, right? I actually very much, and I've said this in the past with Soulsborne games, the game should be the game it wants to be. If they're going for a specific thing, that's why I talk the way I talk with even my like of it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if I like it or don't like it. I think it fits for a certain group of people. If they make their money back and they want to make a game a certain way, if it doesn't jive with certain people's expectations of what these games should be, doesn't matter. I think again, we need almost more of those games that are willing to just kind of be themselves, even if they don't click for me. I think that's still important and that's still good. So hopefully, and it sounds like it's going to do it. It sounds like the game, it's a sequel, it's bigger, and it's expanding upon what it was already doing. But it's still going to be the same type thing. I think if you hated the first, which is a little worrying for me, if you didn't like the first game, I really do not think you would enjoy this. That's why I want to kind of give it a second try, see if I was missing something or if I can maybe enjoy it more now. Because if I can't, this game's probably just, the type of game is just not a game that super connects with me, and I think that's okay. So let me know what you guys think. I will cover it the best that I can, depending on, my thoughts on the first game. I'll make a video talking about the first game. I think that would be fun to do something like that. But cover it the best I can. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.